What if I make a video where I ask a question on Warcraft? Okay, and this question is, am I being lame or are other people being lame? So I was on Hive Workshop. Sorry, not that. I was on Hive Workshop, and here I was getting asked. This guy was saying he's hoping that I would upload the 133 campaigns. Someone mentioned this before. They're kind of saying, they'd like to play the 133 campaigns on Reforged. Actually, as it happens, same guy in a direct message. I think I read somewhere you're not supposed to show your Hive direct messages without asking people. So I'm just going to paraphrase this story. But same guy has also been asking me to do some stuff I didn't do yet, where basically he wants to run... let me see. He wants to run Reforged, but he wants me to record for him a video file so his background menu screen can be the old beta menu. So if I duplicate my launch configuration here and use INI, I think I called it Alphura because it's almost like the alpha, but it's not. This thing I was playing with, I'm not totally sure this will actually load right off the bat, but yeah, it looks like it says that it did not. Okay, assets, it's very close to the name. Alphyra, I think is actually what I was doing for fun. Okay, there we go. It's a made-up name. Anyway, emulator constants is null. Well, that's crazy, so we're just going to copy my other emulator constants from over here, because that's silly that this wouldn't have emulator constants. It's literally missing. Okay. This must have been renamed. So this takes me a second. Some of this stuff, it's a little disorganized. Okay, I suppose I should probably organize it all. Summer 22. One of these things is supposed to have a MPQ in it, I guess. I don't see that as being the case. Okay, yeah, apparently this is the new file path to this file on my computer. It's totally nuts. Anyway, alright. So if I run this thing, probably, what I would imagine. Okay, that didn't work at all. I'm not really sure why that didn't work, but it's interesting. Guess there's a bunch of junk over here that's probably responsible. Can I rename this one? Might do it. Oh, that didn't do it. Okay. There's actually a bunch of junk right now getting loaded. You would think ought to have not been loaded. I'm not quite clear. Okay, so if this was something I last ran in 2021, that's pretty dumb. But there was a version. I'm just gonna put this file back. I think there was one that was more recent. Maybe War Smash, just kind of a silly duplicate name here. So it's a little bit disorganized again, but this is going somewhere. Here we go. Okay, this is more like what I was trying to get at. The fog filter is actually wrong, so the fog is too dark. But if we ignore for a moment the fog, basically the guy was asking me to record that background screen on my computer. And how is that background screen running? So the way that background screen is running is that, I started from, everybody's familiar with Hive Workshop. Hive Workshop, if you go to the models section, and you go to here, somebody made a model like orc transport ship, you can click view in 3D and you can actually see that model rendered. And this is an extremely difficult task. Blizzard did not tell the world how to render these files. There is a guy named Ghostwolf who spent like 7 years figuring out how to make a web browser render this. And after he figured out how to make a web browser render it, he published his code literally onto GitHub, where anybody can download it, anybody can read. If I want to be a viewer, if I want to render MDX, how do I do that? How do I render a particle emitter? What is the rate that the particle moves at inside of the thing we were just looking at, in these boat particles or something like that, right? And he's published the entire code of how to render the Warcraft models. And so I thought that's cool. Then I tried to expand on that by making a little program that could essentially do the same thing, so that, if I wanted to go to something like, let's see, main menu 3D, like maybe the thing we were just looking at, this thing here. Now I'm not sure, some of it's loading really dark, and there's probably a reason why. Maybe we're failing to load textures. And there's probably, I guess that makes sense. If I duplicate this one, probably yeah, okay. So this would be something like war smash, I. Okay, great. So if I run this again, that ought to get us to load the textures, if that makes sense. Some bug with animation controller, so I always try to have it open. So, definitely these things I'm building, I'm not a perfect person. Definitely build things that don't always work exactly right. But the point I'm trying to make is that if I navigate through these folders, back to, let's see, back to where we just were. UI, glues, main menu. Okay, then not that one. This one, here you go. Now we have the textures loaded. And if we play the animations, it's like view in 3D. It's similar to that other one. I was thinking it might even do the sounds, but it kind of seems like it's not doing the sounds. I don't know exactly why that is, but so then there's something about, there's a morph animation where you look in the sky, that's fine, but basically, this thing is capable of rendering these. And the other thing that I was kind of doing with that is that, as well as rendering stuff, I was getting to a point where if you wanted to render something like, a very small font size going on here, like one of these characters, it could be done. And you would actually have, the audio associated with the sound and these other kinds of things. Now, this is the older version of the file. This is like the beta version of the file or something like that. But I would imagine, if you go to a different file, you could actually see more so what I'm going for, which is that this same character, if we're playing the walk alternate, you can kind of hear his footsteps. So the point I'm trying to make, I guess, is basically that I tried to expand on this view in 3D function, right? And so at some point, my efforts to expand on the view in 3D function brought me to trying to emulate the entire game, because that way I don't have to deal with Activision anymore. And so, somebody might look at this and they might be like, oh, he's playing the old Warcraft 3, from before Reforged or something. And that's completely not what I'm doing. This has crazy bugs in it. Like here, I can't change my team because I didn't program teams yet, okay? And if you know what that means, you'll get what I'm trying to say. Just yesterday, I made the little load bar actually animate, so it'll actually kind of like load across. It used to not do that. when I would play this. I didn't put the map icon with the text over it over on the left, but I might do that eventually. Something else I did yesterday for fun was I tried to apply the fog, and so one of the reasons I picked this particular map that I just started is that I was trying to have fog filters on there on the map world, so that when you run around and when you see things in the map, we have fog. And of course, I mean, there's a huge amount to do, right? So here's my gold mine. I can go in the gold mine, but you can see the cargo slots are in the wrong place. They're not centered. I just threw them together. They don't show in yellow over top above that. I didn't do that. When I have 2 workers selected, they can't build. It's like some reign of chaos going on here just because I didn't implement multi-worker build instructions yet. When I right-click trees, they don't flash yellow because I didn't implement that yet. And when I right-click trees, sometimes I click this tree and it clicks that tree over there, and then you think, why is it picking that tree over there? That doesn't make any sense. Or like if I click here, like how did that get this tree? We're getting the wrong tree. And the reason for that is that I implemented my own mathematics for when I click, I array pick into the world, and then I'm array picking against the triangles of the tree. And so I'm not, inside the code, I'm not checking that mouse intersect against the texture of the tree to see where the little leaves cut off. I'm just checking the big triangle that texture is painted on. So it like picks the wrong tree, and I probably need to fix that, but I didn't do that yet. So anyway, recently I added the fog, so you can see that as I page around the map, it's kind of fun. We have the actual like fog effect, that things are more colored based on their distance, and so you have this kind of eerie fog look to things that are in Fog of War. But I mean, there's still problems like out there in the Fog of War. The little waves, the shoreline waves, are not really supposed to animate in fog, and yet they do. That the renderer is not complete. And this cave is, of course, comically broken. It's applying the fog, actually. If you can see, it gets further away and it gets more blue. So my recent changes apply to the cave. But the cave is not warping with the terrain geometry in the way that it should, simply because I didn't implement that. So like if I do like insert delete to kind of spin the camera here, you can see that's not really how it should be. So there are all these things to do. There's an endless list of things that I would like to do. Just the other day I was messing around with I think the Keeper of the Grove, and I noticed that if I train a Keeper of the Grove and then I go and actually use him to like fight some creeps, it doesn't even work right. So he should be able to cast the spell Force of Nature to turn trees into treants, and he can do that. That works, but it has this problem where when he does that, it's programmed the wrong way. So fundamentally, well, also I guess you didn't get enough mana, so you go get some mana from the Moonwell over here. Yeah, there's this other thing where he doesn't run to the Moonwell the right way. It's the autocast will eventually pick it up, but it's not quite right. Anyway, all right, we'll get some archers over here. But like if he casts Force of Nature on these trees, I hit 3 trees, the one in the middle doesn't get destroyed, and so this treant is stuck. And this is entirely because it's programmed the wrong way. Like, there's this code for like Force of Nature that's doing that the wrong way. And so you could imagine, like, if I just go into the game and I'm like, okay, ability Force of Nature, and we're like, what does the effect of this thing do? For every tree in the thing, do the thing. And so, but then, the trees, if the tree can be targeted by this, blah, and then if the number of trees surpasses this, stop. And so if I don't ever return early, like if tree size is surpassed the number of summon units, we stop. If I change that and I say, no, I wanna never return early, and then for every tree that I picked, we're gonna kill the tree, and then have like summoned unit count, summoned unit count, and then if summoned unit count is less than, or whatever that other check was, right? So basically, if summoned unit count is less than number of summoned units, then summon a unit and summon unit count plus, right? And so that way we're still restricted to 2 treants, but we're not restricted to 2 trees destroyed. And you could go and fix that and say, okay, like I was playing it, that was wrong, now it's going to be right. And that's the whole thing is like people playing Reforged, it's going to be like a year until something gets fixed if it's broken, okay? And here I was just like, wow, here's a problem. I just changed it. So, am I the one who's being lame or are they the one who's being lame? But in all this and in all these things that I've come up with, these interesting things that I have to do, to have people telling me that what they really want me to do is go and dig up the 133 campaign and then compile it on Reforged for them, it's sort of like being asked to be my own competitor, which is weird. The competitor in my own project. And so I'm just kind of, it's like I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, am I the one who's being lame, or are other people the one that's being lame? Because I imagine it is in good faith that this person actually does want the 133 campaign, but I would actually much rather to play the 133 campaign on this emulator that I have right here, because why not? And then it'll never stop working. They'll never be like, we just did a Windows update, you can't do that anymore, because I'll just run it on a different kind of computer, because I'll just recompile. It's just kind of like a different way of looking at the problem. And I tend to think it's the same problem, and I don't really find that other people agree. They seem to think that I'm solving a different problem. Maybe they could choose to believe that. But let's watch my Keeper of the Grove. Let's watch me solve a problem here, okay? And this is just... You could never do that on Reforged, ever, And the other thing is, the 133 campaign probably had some changes to the game as well as the maps. I don't know that. How long is it going to take me to test that, to figure that out? To tell this guy, oh, I made a custom campaign, but really it's not, because there's some change to the game, so... If you want the real 133 experience, you got to get the original binary. Like, this is so extremely dumb. It's extremely dumb, okay? And the thing that I'm playing right now is literally on GitHub. Anybody who wants to play this can just download it and compile it. No issue, okay? Except the only part, I guess, that they can't download and compile is one where I just fixed this to destroy 3 trees and make 2 treants, because I can patch the game in like 10 seconds to fix anything that's wrong. And so obviously that part is different until I go and push that change up to the GitHub so that other people can see the change. But that's not even hard to do. You want to see me do that? Wait, let me do that right now. Okay, if I go into repos warsmash/project, this is my code change tracker. Okay, so there's an entire system for tracking code changes. And I can sit here and say, okay, well, the thing that changed, presumably, and actually I've changed a bunch of things because I was playing with the fog. So, I was making it that these trees out here would be like fogged, or how this kind of bridge like stands out, that there's a distance-based fog visual. So that's true. That visual is, that's not been pushed up to the GitHub either, and probably I should do that. But in the short term, if we just wanted to push the change to force of nature, you could just grab this force of nature file right here. And I could say, okay, I guess you can do a diff, so it'll tell me, well, what did I change in the force of nature? Now, actually, I have an automatic code formatter, and so I wrote this file on a different computer in the past, and now when I saved it, automatically formatted. So, unfortunately, there are always some details like that make it look like we've done more, there's more happening than what's really happening. But the main difference is in do effect, when it does the effect of force of nature. When we enum destructibles in range and we get all the destructibles in the area, it used to be that would terminate when we reach this number of units. Now it doesn't, and instead we loop through these destructibles that we picked out, that are all of them, kill all of the destructibles, knocking down all of the trees, but looping where we have a count of the number of units created, and we stop when we reach the limit. So you can destroy 3 trees and make 2 treants instead of destroying 2 trees to get 2 treants and having one of them be stuck in the woods. So, I mean, you can have that, and like now the diff tracker is tracking the difference, and usually we would go in here and say, okay, I can put a name to this change so that people can go back and see it, oh, fix force of nature, okay, and then push this on up to my GitHub. And now anybody on planet Earth, no logins, no secrets, none of that. Anybody on planet Earth can just go to github.com/Retera /Warsmash, and I called it Warsmash mod engine instead of Warsmash because we're making Warcraft mods. Okay, that's what we're doing. The code is at this point AGPL licensed, which basically I just dumped the original text that's copied from some other place, but basically it's saying that it had to be GPL to comply with some other things, so it's like copyleft, so you actually probably would have a harder time making a proprietary version now, sort of taking it down. But essentially, it's like free software anybody can get. And now you have fixed force of nature right here, and you can actually read the change about the fixed and force of nature. And if you don't like that change, you can actually fork the code. Over here in the Insights page, you can see all these people here made their own forks where they just click the fork button. It's pretty easy to do. And then it's like their forks, a lot of them are out of date. They don't always merge in the changes that I made. This one updated 3 days ago, so that's cool. I should probably like merge that one, but anyway, we'll see. Maybe they'll make a pull request, but you get the point I'm making, right? Is I'm working on this project. We're trying to remake the game, and we got these goobers that are like, well, okay, that's a good project you have there, but really, how this project would really be useful to me? How this would really be useful to them? This is what they're telling me. How this would really be useful would be to run this one and record the background. Now, again, it's the wrong fog. Okay, it's the wrong fog effect. But I think there's a way to fix that. Save as a beta file. I don't actually know what's the difference. What's going on in War Smash beta? I didn't open that one. Literally just War 3 beta. Wait, there's no way that actually functions, does it? I don't think that actually functions. All right, I'm going to assume that doesn't work, but if we jump into this thing, UI misc data. So obviously, somebody would say, well, there's too much fog. It shouldn't be fogged like that. If we go to one of these like Magtheridon beta backups that I have over here, it's called Warcraft 3 beta, War 3 beta. Yeah, War 3 beta. Okay, I'm curious if UI misc data even had a fog. I don't know if they had invented that back then. Fog. Okay, they have fog of war, but that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, so yeah, they just disabled it, which would be interesting. You'd want to find like a way to menu Z fog. Okay, so to basically say that there's no fog, maybe density 0 would be the way. We'll see if that works. Did not work. Okay. That's interesting, actually. I don't really know why that didn't work, but it might be that we just want to go with like -1 style. I don't think that's actually something that works on Warcraft 3, but it might work on War Smash. Maybe that'll turn it off. It's just kind of saying it's some kind of style error. Either that or we find out we're not reading the file that I think that I'm reading. Here we go, -1 style. Okay, so we're back to, just the default kind of background there. And that's what they're saying, basically, is the guy's saying, well, hey, if you could run this and turn off... So I made it, for me, Alt-Z turns the menu on and off. It's just much easier. So, if I want to make a video of, like, the menu turned off, and he's saying, well, hey, couldn't you make a video of that, and then he can use it as his reforged background? And I can try to do that, but it's so boring. And it's boring, and it's like trying to support a different philosophy than the philosophy that I was trying to have. It's like how I'm useful to them is to not do what I'm doing. And that is kind of human nature, but it just seems a little bit unfortunate. Like, am I the person who's being lame, or are they being lame? So I do think there's supposed to be a way. What, I added a new flag. What is War Smash constants is the file that's parsing all this stuff, and there's a new flag, full screen menu backdrop. So of course, if you use that flag, we can say full screen menu backdrop equals 1 over here. Run this thing for this guy again. This is when it gets kind of cool. Is you could do what the actual original Blizzard client. Never mind, I did it wrong. Okay, so I probably edited the wrong one of these files. So I guess I edited War Smash INI. We actually wanted to edit War Smash INI. That's a little bit confusing. The naming convention is up to the user, so my naming conventions shouldn't be on your computer. Here we go. So you can see now if I turn the UI off with the sort of Alt-Z command, you can just see, filling the whole screen, the whole thing. And then you start to wonder, actually, would it be better if the castle wall kept going in the distance? Why does this castle just kind of stop? And I'm sure you can play with that. You can open in Retera Model Studio and add some walls, and re-record it. But the point I'm kind of saying is, like, am I being lame, or are the other people being lame when they tell me that of all these interesting things that I've tried to do with the Warcraft modding technology, that the useful part is to upgrade their Reforged background and send them a backup of Reforged campaign, because the people, if they want to play the actual latest and greatest version of the Reforged campaign, they can't, because Microsoft deleted it. But a couple of years ago, like last summer, you could have played the newer version of the Reforged campaign that was made. It's just there was a patch that rolled it back and deleted it, because the people running the game, they don't know what they're doing. And if you do know what you're doing, like if you have like a technology like I have where you can just track differences, like I just did with Force of Nature, then you could actually sort of have solutions to technology problems. And I think that it's sort of a governance problem and not a technology problem. People at Activision, people at Microsoft, they aren't allowed to fix things. They can't put the actual best version of the Reforged campaign, the one from the upgrades like last year or whatever, back into production, because they don't know how it works. Okay, but we have people on Earth who do know how Warcraft 3 works. And it's weird for me when folks say, well, we don't want to play my version. All the stuff I just played, it's not... Reforged is a remaster. They put new art on the game. The thing I was trying to build is a remake. I wrote the code again with like clean room engineering, because I don't work there, and I'm like trying to simulate it. And so anyway, there you go. Am I being lame, or are the other people being lame? But it's probably, from my perspective, sometimes it seems like it's the other people. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Everyone likes to say they're all going crazy from social media, but something to think about. That's my video for today.